everybody, and welcome back to the Chaotic Crossover. My name, as always, is Will.
And I am AJ.
And today we are covering some new ground. We are going to start talking about what this channel originally was supposed to be about, Dungeons and Dragons. For those of you who don't know, Dungeons and Dragons, a very lovely, very lucrative tabletop RPG game, played by many, loved by few, but we are the few and the proud. But the new handbook, the new player's handbook, was just released today, or at least sometime now
week.
since the time of this recording. And the fact is, one of us paid money to get it because I guess 5E's not enough. So I guess I'm just like every other schmuck who complained about anything after 1E, after first edition.
And I paid for the physical copy and the digital one.
Oh,
and already
yuck.
Pre-ordered the Dungeon Master's Guide and the Monster Manual. It was a big bundle thing, and I paid a lot of money for it.
Wow. Let's not get into how much that cost you, but as I said, AJ and I were long-term fans of Dungeons and Dragons. I got into it in high school, had a great time. AJ, when did you get into it?
I got into it in college. I honestly didn't really know. I honestly really hadn't heard of it in high school. Like, I had heard the name Dungeons and Dragons and knew it was something nerds did, nerds and losers. And I was like, okay, I'm a little nerdy, I like Star Wars, I like Marvel movies. And then I got to college and made some friends, and they were like, hey, D&D is really cool. And then I got really into it. And then I discovered, I'm a real nerd. I'm a nerd.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. And then
AJ,
my life has been downhill from there.
Yeah, AJ, you have like a encyclopedic knowledge of Dungeons and Dragons sometimes. It's very impressive. Now, either you're pulling it all out of your ass at any given moment, or you're basically Rain Man for basically tabletop RPGs. You, in your spare time, I have seen this man recreate character sheets to reflavor them. I've seen him create brand new mechanics to fit games that he's run. He's a game maker, as some would say in High School Musical, the first one starring Zac Efron as Troy Bolton. You're a playmaker. You make the plays, and you make a great game for us to play.
I unfortunately, okay, like, I preface, this is actually the first D&D book that I've ever bought. This is actually the first D&D book that I've ever owned. I've never owned one before this. But I have been called the Walking Player's Handbook by different groups that I've played with. It's mostly because I watch a lot of videos about it and, like, know the rules, and I don't know why. I just, like, it, clicked in my brain as, like, an obsession, and I just went all in, and now there's new stuff. And I was like, okay, this is the perfect time to actually start buying the stuff instead of just, finding it online, and I want it, and it's beautiful.
So let's start at the ground level. So, AJ, just tell us, if you're watching this, by the way, we assume that you are familiar with Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, everything that's come before. You've been in it as long as we have, so a couple of years, if not longer. Maybe you're some older dude or lady or person out there watching saying, you're doing it all wrong. Well, this is our first time doing it. For all intents and purposes, this is almost a completely Star Wars channel right now at the moment, so you're going to have to forgive us.
But it's the Chaotic Crossover, so we're crossing over into different realms, as in, the Forgotten Realms.
Yeah, good save there, bud. So, AJ, tell us, from your experience with 5E, how is this different? What are some changes that we can get to just right off the bat?
So, just kind of going into a little bit of background first. So 5E, 5th edition, was published in 2014, 10 years ago. And it was published as the next segment of Dungeons and Dragons. Before there had been a lot of complicated rules and stuff, and there still are, but it had this whole history. People really loved 3rd edition and 3.5 and really hated 4th edition, and then 5th edition came, and all of a sudden Dungeons and Dragons went from being a thing that only the nerdiest of people do into a kind of like a worldwide phenomenon that more people are getting into thanks to things like Critical Role and the simplified rule set, which focuses more on role play rather than straight up game mechanics. There's a lot of game mechanics for those people that want to dive into that, but a lot of it is a little bit more focused on playing a character and telling a story than it ever was before. Not that it wasn't, but it's like a little bit more focused on that story. And this, the 2024 Player's Handbook, is staying within the realm of 5th edition. Some people have called it 5.5. There's some content creators that are calling it 5.24 for coming out in 2024. But essentially, what they did is they were like, okay, 5th edition is really popular and people love it. And we want to revamp it, but we still want people to buy our old stuff. So we're going to make it backwards compatible. And that's essentially what they did. Like, they really wanted to take advantage of the popularity that it is right now, but also update it and, you know, still make a pretty penny. You know, I whatever your thoughts are on capitalism aside, like, that's what it is. So what I like to think of this as rather than like a 5.5 or a 5.24 or like 6th edition, I like to think of this is like a patch or like an update to like a video game. So if you're playing like, or like a remastering in some sort of way, we were just talking about Star Wars Bounty Hunter right before this, but essentially this is 5th edition, but they've ironed out a lot of the bugs. There's a couple new ones that we'll talk about, but a lot of like, there's a couple builds, like couple character classes and subclasses that people were like, well, this is awful. I'm never going to play this because this is bad. And they said, well, people think this is bad. We're going to make this usable. We're going to quality of life improvements all across the board for pretty much everything. Some things that were overpowered, they took down. So basically, if like the floor was here and the ceiling was here, they took it and they kind of did this a little bit. And they kind of like made it more narrow so that it was a little bit more of a balanced game, and it was a little bit easier to understand, and also had some more complicated mechanics.
Wow. So that's a really good intro. I will say I'm glad I'm not gonna buy the book. However, I do think, because I will say this so far, AJ, I haven't bought the book, but with how things are on D&D Beyond now, which is sort of the sister website to everything Dungeons and Dragons, they have installed some new rules when it comes to character creation. And I actually just had to make a brand new character for you in a one-shot that we were doing. And the
Star Wars related, of course.
Guys, I couldn't tell the fucking difference, okay? Because when I was going through, everything was working same as always. Granted, if you're a nerd out there, stay in your lane and just calm down. Nothing's changed. Don't be one of those people who it's like, oh, it's different now. Now I don't like it. Guess what? Gary Gygax is dead. Let it go, dude.
Right. And again, it's still backwards compatible, so you can still play with some of the old rules. And D&D is a game that you play with your friends. You can change whatever rules you want. People still play with 3.5 edition. If you don't like these, it's fine. Don't play with them. I think that these are better overall, but I mean, do whatever you want and take what you like from here and make your own game. It's called homebrew for a reason. You do it at home.
Right. You can still play all of your Xbox games on the Xbox One. Nobody's going to take away the fact that you beat Max Payne 2. Okay. You can still enjoy everything and all of the good stuff. I like that. But no, that's super cool. And I think it is smart that they didn't really change a lot of stuff, especially because I feel like the momentum is at such a high right now, and it's plateaued a little bit, but that's a good thing, kind of staying like where you are way up here for Dungeons and Dragons. You don't want to mess with a good thing. And I think, especially seeing it, how we kind of said a patch. It's almost like a reboot, you know, like they're bringing all the parts you like. So let's actually talk about character creation or some of like the species and races and what's different so far. I'd like to hear some of that, honestly.
Yeah. So as you kind of picked up on, I have a lot of positive thoughts. Now we're gonna get into something that
Yes.
I am not a huge fan of personally, but I can see why they did it, and I understand that other people might be a huge fan of it. But they took the 12 core classes, so all the classes that were already in D&D, minus the Artificer. They just took Barbarian, Bard, Cleric, Druid, Fighter, Monk, Paladin, Ranger, Rogue, Sorcerer, Warlock, and Wizard. They just took those. And what they did is when they were redoing some of the rules, when they were kind of looking at what they got, um, they basically said, how can we make this class feel like more of itself? How can we kind of enhance the class identity of each individual thing? If you're not familiar, class is basically like it gives you the power set that you're playing with and determines your playstyle. Um, I am not a huge fan of that because I was always a big fan of reflavoring things and saying, okay, mechanically, I'm going to play as a bard, but actually, like the way I want to describe what I'm doing, I'm not going to be casting spells, or like maybe I'm using technology or something, or like mechanically, I'm playing as a warlock who makes a pact with a extra planar deity or being or something like that. Okay, well, I can play that as that mechanically, but I can still say, you know what, my Eldritch Blast is like cannon that I have, or something like that, like reflavoring. And this kind of takes that, and you can still do that to an extent. There's still enough room for role play, but it's like, okay, if you're playing as warlock, you do have a patron, and they kind of put rules in there that says this is how your patron works. And for paladin, all paladins get to, at a certain level, get to have summon a steed, so they get to have a horse. Personally, I was like, you know what, that's not the kind of paladin that I want to play. But now if I play a paladin, I kind of have to have a horse or I'm wasting a feature.
Yeah.
So it has pros and cons. Like, yeah, you get a horse, but if you didn't want a horse, so it is what it is. But that's
well, it'd be rude. It'd be rude not to use it. And listen, at the end of the day, you can just make that horse appear.
Yep.
Just have fun with it. All of a sudden, you're in a tight jam. Right in front of you, a horse pops up, kicks that dude in the chest. Bada bing, bada boom. His chest is caved in. You have yourself an opportunity. All right, opens the door.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And there's so much stuff that you can do with it and stuff. And they took a lot of the bad things and they made it decent, as I said before. But yep. And each class gets 4 subclasses, so they kind of standardize that. So you always have 4 options, and they'll add more as they publish more books. But in the base game, like this, so yeah, that takes some away from the cleric and the wizard. But I'm sure we'll get them back later. But yeah, so I guess the main difference that people will notice when they're building characters, if you've built a character in 5e, is that now every single character now gets something called an origin feat. So what that means is that before you picked a species, you picked the background and stuff. Now the background matters. Before you were like, okay, I'm playing a bard, and I guess I'll take the entertainer background because that's bardy, or like I'll take the charlatan background, or something like that.
But now
okay,
you gotta think about it. You gotta think
me some
about
skill
it now.
proficiencies, but now it's like, okay, now your background, instead of before your species gave you ability score bonuses, now your background gives you that, so that you can play a halfling that gets bonuses to strength because you wanted to play a halfling that has a big giant hammer rather than a halfling rogue like is typical. You wanted to play against type for your species. So now you pick out the background that gives you some bonus to strength and stuff like that. And every background you pick comes with like specific ability scores that it can tie to and stuff. It gives you 3 ability scores. You can do +1 to all 3, or you can do +2 to one and +1 to another. And so it gives you those options, and it gives you an origin feat. And an origin feat is an extra feature that you get to, that allows you to do different things. So there's different things like, being a criminal makes you gives you the alert feat. Being a criminal makes you more alert to your surroundings. You get bonuses to your initiative, and you can swap initiative, which is a new thing, which is kind of cool.
Oh, tell me about swapping initiative there, AJ. What does that mean?
So it's from what I've seen, it's only something that is in the alert feat, but the rules for tying initiative now, if you roll the same as someone else in your party, you guys get to decide who goes first, is what it says now. And the alert feat says you get a bonus to your initiative, roll it. If you want someone else in your party to switch places with you, like you rolled really low and you want to go earlier or vice versa, then you can just do that with the alert feat. I got a 19, you got a 10. You want to go before me? You get the 19, I get the 10 now.
Oh wow! Somebody really loves power scaling. They really like powering up their players. That's cool. I think that's really nice. That's almost sort of like using yourself as a jump off ramp for somebody else. Just like, there you go.
Right.
No, that's cool.
Yeah. And there's a lot of cool stuff, and everyone gets more options now, and you can kind of customize it a little bit more. We see the magic initiate feat. Now it's split up into the cleric, the druid, and the wizard magic initiate. Now you can choose which ability score you use with whatever spell list you chose from. So if you want to have some wizard spells that use your wisdom, you can do that now. And you can just get 2 extra cantrips and a couple extra first level spells. Or 1 first level spell, sorry. And that's awesome. There's also things like Tough, which was in the old game, which basically just gives you more hit points for those people that don't want to think about it as hard, or just want to be a bit more buff. Let's see, what are some of the other ones? Tavern Brawler, you can be good at fighting with improvised weapons, be better at grappling people. Lucky is an origin feat now. Healer is an origin feat. Crafter's an origin feat that is really bad. So don't take it if you can avoid it. Skilled, like I think that's actually all of them so far, but I'm sure they'll add more as they publish more books. But that is like, you get one, and it either comes with your background, or if you play as a human, all humans get an extra origin feat. Why? Because humans are a boring species to play in Dungeons and Dragons. When you are in a fantastical world, with elves and dwarves and halflings and devil people and angel people and big giant people.
Explain Aragorn then, AJ.
I'm not saying they can't be cool. I'm just saying that Legolas is much better at pretty much everything than Aragorn. Also, isn't Aragorn part elf anyway?
No, he's part of an ancient race of humans that he's descended upon, and therefore he's able to live a little bit longer. Keep up on your lore, man.
It's been a while. But yeah, like... I'm glad I'm not the only one that there's one more.
There's brought to you by Critical Role. We are sponsored.
I wish.
We would love to be.
They're probably going to stop playing D&D soon now that they have their new rules, but that's a topic for another day. There's one more. There's 2 more origin feats. There's Musician and Savage Attacker as well. So there's other stuff you can do. But yeah, it's super. Some of these options are really juicy. None of them are overpowered because otherwise they wouldn't be origin feats.
Right. Like, basically just make it something where your parents are either dead or tragedy befell you or you got buff in the mountains or all 3 of those, baby, you're Batman.
Oh yeah, and I will say when you look at the backgrounds, just the artwork in the book is beautiful because it has like kind of like a backdrop for every single background, and it has like, if you're an entertainer, there's like this beautiful like stage with a music stand and a cello. If you're a farmer, there's some like, and like the art in this book is extremely beautiful and it really ties into everything. Every subclass gets their own artwork. It's really cool. If you don't like anything else about this book because you're one of those naysayers, I don't think you can say that you don't like the art, because the art is really good and kind of ties everything together.
Yeah, let's be honest. I hate to say it. Art defines half of what people will end up buying on anything. Look at comic books. Look at
Yeah.
movies. Look at advertisements for cheeseburgers. All right? You have to make it look sexy or people don't want it. Case in point, Curse of Strahd. Who the fuck would have gotten Curse of Strahd if it wasn't for that beautiful artwork on the front and on the inside?
Yeah, but it's really good. And the design's really good. So, I talked about origin feats for a while. There are other feats that you get when you get ability score improvements at like levels 4 and up that now you can take. And you can take, and just like the old stuff, but now it's not really optional. Now it's like, hey, everyone can do this. Before, technically, your DM could have told you, no, you can't take feats, which is a weird thing to do as a DM, but whatever.
Very power trippy. Yeah.
Yeah, but now, general feats, every single general feat increases one of your ability scores by 1. Every single. So you don't waste like, oh, I don't get an ability score improvement anymore. Well, now you get at least half of one. And then some of them did that in the old rules, but now every single one does. And then
pretty fair trade-off.
And there's a lot of those. There's a lot of different juicy options. Some of them, there's a couple of them that people are upset about because they were nerfed, like sharpshooter. But to be honest, they just they took the overpowered ones, they knocked them down a peg. They took the underpowered ones to knock them up a peg, and most of them are better.
Everything's getting pegged. Okay, we can handle that. At the end of the day, you know what? I'm just gonna say it. We need to get pegged every now and then.
Yeah. You need to take it in the butt once in a while.
Well, hey, let's not be crass. We're talking about D&D here.
Sorry, take it in the ass.
Yeah.
And then once you get to 19th level, as any character, you can take an epic boon feat, which can increase your ability scores past 20, which they couldn't do before.
What? Holy shit!
And all of the epic
game
boons,
keeps going.
Yeah, and if you level up past level 20, you just get another epic boon.
Wow, that's actually really cool. And that way, in the monsters manual, they can just make way more dangerous shit that takes you 24 hours to beat.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what the monster manual looks like. But just hear me out. Let me read you a couple of these epic boons, and you'll see like why. Like, if you're not taking epic boon, you're making a mistake. Boon of combat prowess. You increase an ability score.
Okay.
Peerless aim. When you miss with an attack roll, you can hit instead. Once per turn.
Well, huh?
Every turn. Every turn, once. You can just choose to hit.
Oh, I didn't realize we were going to watch the world burn, AJ. I didn't realize epic boons just made you the main character.
Boon of dimensional travel. Immediately after you get an ability score. Immediately after you take the attack action or the magic action, which is basically like casting a spell and doing some other things, you can teleport 30 feet every turn.
Just any race can do that.
Any race.
Or like any class. Anything. Class can do that.
You can choose anyone can choose it. Boon of energy resistance.
Sit down for a second.
You get resistance to 2 damage types that you choose. And if you take any damage from that damage type, you can take a reaction to shoot at someone else.
Well,
Boon of fortitude. Your hit point maximum increases by 40.
All right.
Whenever you regain hit points, you regain additional hit points equal to your Constitution modifier. Every turn.
So we become the villains we fight.
Boon of skill. Increase in ability score. God. You gain proficiency in all skills.
So you just get advantage on...
You gain proficiency in all skills and expertise in one skill.
Oh God.
Boon of speed. Your speed increases by 30 feet. If you're a monk, that's crazy.
Yeah, you become the Flash.
Yep. Boon of This one's not amazing. So like there are some like I'm like okay, that's not as good. So okay, boon of irresistible offense.
Hmm.
Any weapon damage you do automatically ignores resistance, which is nice. When you roll a natural 20 on an attack roll, you deal extra damage to the target equal to the ability score increased by the feat, not the ability score modifier. So that's to say, if you have a strength of 20, you deal 20 extra damage.
Oh,
Every
God.
time you...
So,
True Sight. You can gain True Sight.
so what I'm hearing is just that every monster in the manual is just going to be like Vecna, but with 7 dicks.
I mean,
Just,
but
just shooting fire and energy and death. Each one of them has power word kill coming out of its holes.
Oh, yeah. But like, okay, if you're 19th level or higher, you should be getting these kind of things, right?
Right, you should get god level,
You should
god
become
tier
a god.
stuff.
That's kind of what D&D is.
Right, it's a power fantasy.
Yeah, like if you're playing D&D, you're some nerd sitting in some dude's basement, or in my case, at someone's kitchen table, my own. And what you want to do is you want to escape the monotony of the world, and you want to wield a sword and shoot spells at people.
Yeah.
If you play a level 1 character, you're like, pew! And it's like, all right, that's fun, I guess. But then you get to 20th level, and you're like, now I should be like making the world rotate the other direction whenever I cast a
like
spell.
Superman.
Yeah, and that reverses time, as we know.
If I want to be able to summon from a cloak many tiny bears who we would say are so loving that they do, in fact, 100% care, and when they, give a glance, they can just unleash a mighty fury of love and passion. I should be able to do that, wouldn't you say, AJ?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, if you want to lift up your shirt and have a little symbol on your tum-tum and have it shine, shoot a sunbeam out at some dude, which is a spell, you should be able to do that.
Yeah, if you just want to pull up, show it off your flabby little bear titties, and just go power word hug.
Bear titties.
For those of you who don't know,
watch our one episode. Short on the channel.
Yeah, watch our one short or watch Star Wars Dark Empire at the very end.
Yeah, probably watch the whole thing. That's better viewage. Huh.
Yeah. But no, oh my gosh. I mean, those sound awesome. I want to play 19th level now. That's for sure. Yeah, what's up, player?
If you have any questions, feel free to stop me anytime. But
oh no, this is the best part. I'm just watching you roll, buddy.
We're gonna get into weapons. People in 5th edition were like, okay, spellcasting is super powerful. And when you're like a fighter or a rogue and you're just like using weapons or whatever, people are like, okay, you hit stuff. And for people that are like not interested in getting into the difficult mechanics, that's fine. But someone casting Wish versus you hitting someone 3 times, there's a difference there. So what they did is they're like, let's make weapons a little bit more interesting. And let's add to the power of our martial characters. You could argue that the spellcasters are still more powerful because there's like, I think like 70 pages of spells in this book. It's a lot.
Yeah.
But they definitely helped close the gap more. So basically, every weapon in the book has something that's called a mastery property. So you have to have mastery over a weapon to use this property. You have to gain it through a feature or something. But
you gotta be attuned or something. Okay.
Yeah, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 options of mastery properties. And every weapon is assigned 1. Like if you are wielding a javelin, you're gonna have, and you get the mastery property, it's gonna be the slow mastery property. If you're wielding the pike, you're gonna get the push mastery property. So it gives a little more interest to what weapons you pick because you get to do different things with those. And there's 8 of these, so each one gets assigned 1. So there are 8. The 8 properties are cleave, graze, nick, push, sap, slow, topple, and vex.
And we'll seduce.
And seduce. That's the hidden one that they don't tell you about, but there's a little asterisk that I'm saying, yeah, and it's in the back of the book, and it says like when you hit someone with a weapon, you can make them fall in love with you if you succeed on a certain check, and if they fall in love with you, you get to fuck them right there on the battlefield.
Yeah, power word love. That's what I'm here for.
That would be terrifying and also a little rapey, so that's not true.
Yeah,
that's not.
No, we only use that for the BB. That's the BBEG's spell, and we say we gotta stop him.
Yeah, some succubus or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a good bit. Cut that.
Yeah, we might have to cut the video.
Yeah,
we might have to do that. Okay. So the first one, cleave. So basically, what cleave allows you to do is if you're trying to hit some enemy and there's another enemy that's close to it, you can do more. You can also do damage to the other enemy. The language is a little bit more complicated, but I'm going basic overview. You can do damage to that energy. So, like, if I'm swinging a big axe, I believe a great axe gets this property. Yep. I'm hitting an enemy, and I'm hitting a goblin, and then I'm also like the swing finishes into another goblin.
You get more damage. The momentum of the swing will follow through,
and
which I think is good. Use physics in your games.
Yeah, and you can do this every time you attack with a weapon.
Oh hell yeah!
Graze
needs some swing.
Graze is the second one. What Graze does is this is another one where like a lot of bigger weapons do this. If you miss with an attack roll, you still get to do a little bit of damage to them. Not a lot.
Ooh, just a little paper cut.
Yeah, so like if I'm swinging, I think a great sword gets Graze. It does. You swing at the sword, they manage to dodge out of the way. You still nick them with the edge of your blade, so you still get to get them a little bit. So a missing is an entirely loss. It's kind of nice.
So, AJ, what I'm hearing is, in the new player's handbook, there's actually no way to fucking lose. You are set up for success, young man.
We haven't seen the monster manual yet. They could probably use these properties too.
That's what I'm saying. Vecna, 7 dicks. Most dangerous game.
The next one is Nick. So basically when you're 2-weapon fighting now, you're like wielding two swords or something. The meta seems to be already the short sword and the scimitar, because the scimitar gets the nick property. So in the base game, if you have 2 weapons in your hands, you can make attacks with this one, and then your bonus action you can use for this one. What Nick says is that now you don't have to use the bonus action anymore, and so you can just do an extra attack on your turn.
Okay.
And you can do that from level 1.
That sounds good.
Push.
I would like some more of that, please.
Automatic push 10 feet away. Hit them with a hammer. Boom, they're pushed back. Sap. If you hit the creature with this weapon, they have disadvantage on the next attack roll. So a little bit of protection for you or your allies. Slow. You reduce their speed by 10 feet. So they can't run as far. Topple.
Right.
You knock them on their ass.
Aw.
They do make a saving throw for that one. And then Vex, if you hit with a Vex weapon, your next attack automatically gets advantage.
All right. Well, that certainly sounds like a lot. I'm you know what? I might just buy this or have you tell me more off camera.
That's probably what'll happen. If you do want the cheaper if people just we're not sponsored, but if you do want the cheap option of getting this, just get the rules on D&D Beyond. It's way cheaper than buying the in-copy book, and then you have access to them from anywhere.
Or go to Reddit and find somebody who has a PDF of it.
Or just watch videos online like I did and learn the rules through osmosis.
Just run this company into the ground that gives us all this shit. Let's ruin their fucking lives.
I mean, look, say what you will about the company, they're not great, as there's been a lot of controversy about them. We're not going to weigh into that. But the people working on this seem to be good people. The people that are actually the ones making the book seem to be trying to do the right thing. That's what I'll say.
Yeah. All right, fair enough.
But yeah. So that's pretty much all of like the basic stuff. There's a bunch of spells in here. I will say one thing that you're not going to be happy about, Will.
Oh boy.
You
Hit me with it.
specifically, your favorite spell got changed.
And, yes, I'm upset about my favorite spell.
Will, what do you think I'm talking about when I say your favorite spell?
Um.
I'll give you a hint.
Elder. Wait, no, wait, no. They got rid of summoned animals.
They didn't get rid of it.
What did they do?
Basically,
what did they do? For those of you who don't know, I play a druid in our home game, and Jesus Christ, do I love summoning my gorilla boys just coming out to rough up a couple of dudes. What happens to my gorilla boys?
So basically, when they were looking at spells, they found that spells where the player has to go into the monster manual to pick out something, one, a little bit problematic because, it takes a while, and also just like two, like if they manage to find one that happens to be a little bit overpowered, then all of a sudden their spell becomes overpowered. So they changed it.
Choose your words carefully, AJ.
So that instead of all those summon spells, some of them they changed to be other effects, like conjure animals became interesting. It's still it's a good spell, but it's just way different now. Basically, any summoning spells, they give you the stat block in the spell description for you to use. So instead of going through the monster manual, they'll just give it to you right there. It's a quality of life improvement. You don't have to go looking for it. And it's always going to be a little bit more balanced because they have a little bit more control over what the spell does. So you don't get to summon 4 gorillas, but you can summon, like, different things. And you can still flavor them as gorillas. You can still say it looks like a gorilla. You can still do that.
You know what I'm going to do? This is where the homebrew comes in. It's not been out even for a week. We're going to homebrew it in the home game. It's staying the way it is.
Not if I'm running the game.
And you know what? Why can't things ever stay the way they are? I'm with the motherfuckers who hate Force Awakens now. That's who I am. Son of a bitch. This is what new things do to you when you get to a certain age. When you become an adult and you age out of stuff, this is what happens. God damn it.
Look, man, I mean, it's better design. Because there was one where it was like conjure there's one where you could summon like 8 pixies that could all individually cast polymorph and fly. So you could have you could have 4 cast polymorph and 4 cast fly, and you could have 4 flying T-Rexes in your party.
You know what? The fact that they don't want that to happen, that means they hate fun.
Here's the thing. That's fun once. And then the DM says, fuck, now I have to rebalance the game because they're going to be flying T-Rexes every encounter.
That's their problem. That's all I'm saying. Get good.
It's better for the game. Going. It's better for the game as a whole. William.
We're each dying on this hill right now. This is the final episode of Chaotic Crossover. We're going at each other's throats. Ah. Yeah, you threw that bottle. You know what? You have bad anger issues. I don't want to play anymore.
Oh god.
But no, this all sounds like some really fun stuff, dude. I'm looking forward to you maybe implementing some of this later on. Who knows? Maybe we can even do an isolated Chaotic Crossover episode where we have a little one shot. We try out some of these new rules, and
we either have to convince our friends to come on or just play one-on-one.
Yeah. It's like, hello, welcome everybody to Lich Please, where we have 2 fucking level 20 liches just go full hog against each other.
But yeah, we can talk. Well, I guess we'll have to do another video about like classes and stuff. But because I'm really excited to start diving into the some of those. But yeah,
I will say I have played due to our one shot we did. I played a version of Bard with the new rules. Fits well. I will say, so far with the Bard, it seems to flow very nicely. It's very streamlined. I don't have to worry about too many things.
There are some
I very
classes
much
that I had
recommend it.
no interest in playing before that I want to play now. The new Bard is pretty cool. There's a College of Dance subclass now.
Ooh,
We
finally,
can talk about that.
something I'm good at.
I don't know. I've seen you on the dance floor.
You have not. You have not.
It's a crab
seen me on
having
the
a
dance
seizure
floor.
is what it looks like.
Well, it's murder on the dance floor.
Murder on the dance floor. And I don't. We don't have the copyright.
Exactly
for that.
like that. And I'm. Nobody cares.
But yeah, we'll do more videos about this because this is what I've been really into for the last. This is what I've been really into.
Oh wow, senior moment.
This is really what I've been into. So we'll make more videos on this because I want to, and I'm half this channel, and I have half the voting power.
Yeah, and I can't wait to see it, honestly.
But yeah, it's really fun. Check it out. At least give it a look if you're into D&D, and give it a chance. Is what I'll say. Give it a chance. There's some good parts. If you're one of those people that's like, screw Wizards of the Coast, why would they do this to me? I liked my baby. It's different now. Just take what you want from it, give it a chance, and see what you think.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's a game. So game on. Stop being a little bitch and just hang out.
The goal of this game is to have fun. Have organized fun. Well, or chaotic fun, but like organized as far as like a rule set. So like pick whatever makes your game at home more fun for everyone.
Right.
So,
but yeah, I personally love this. I can't wait to see what happens next. But if you don't have anything else to say, AJ, I think this has been a great episode. Now, join us next week for another awesome adventure of chaotic crossover. Until then, I'm Will.
I'm Majay. Goodbye.
And